problems with you. If the domain and range of the relation, tell whether the relation is a function. This is question number 1. Again, to find the domain and range, we have to first draw a box. And always remember, whenever you're dealing with domain and range, make your table. X and Y went to the doctor. X is domain and our Y is our range. So we're looking at domain first. Domain, and so we're looking at our X values, which means we're going to look at our X axis. And our X axis goes from side to side. That means we're going to look at the sides of the box. And this side, the value at X for this first side is -3, so I'm going to write a -3 next to it. And the value for X on the other side is 3, so I'm going to write a 3 next to that. So I see right away that the domain is going to go from -3 to 3, because I'm looking at domain, I'm looking at the X values. I'm going to write an X in the middle, and then I'm going to write less than. Am I using the -3? Yes, because I don't have a full there. And am I using the 3? Yes, I don't have a full there. So this is my domain. Right away, I can already see that I can eliminate answer choices B and C, because the domain is wrong there. The range, pretty much the same process. Remember, for range, I'm looking at the Y values. That means I'm going to look at the Y axis. Y axis goes up and down, which means I'm going to look at the bottom and the top of my box. At the bottom of my box, the Y value is -2, and at the top, the Y value is +2. So my range is going to be from -2 to 2. I'm going to write a Y because I'm looking at the Y values. I am using -2 and I am using +2. But that does not help me eliminate A or D. I have to look at, am I looking at a function? Remember, to be a function, our relation has to pass the vertical line test. So if I pass a vertical line through this relation, I can see right away that it's going to fill it, because I'm just going to draw a vertical line right here. It's going to touch the line at the top and at the bottom. It's touching the line 2 times. And remember, to pass a vertical line test, the relation can only touch the line 1 time at a time, 1 point at a time. So this is not a function, which means that our answer is A. Okay, problem number 2. Which equation best represents the relationship between the row number and the number of flowers? Okay, so I want to figure out which of these can give me the table. And I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go to the calculator. I am going to go to Y equals. And I'm going to put in answer choice A, which is 2R plus 52. But remember, the calculator doesn't like R's, so instead of an R, I'm going to use an X. 2X plus 52. Second graph. And from my table, I see that when X is 1, I get 54, which works. When X is 2, my Y is 56. And if I plug in a 2, I should get out a 58, not a 56. So I'm going to cross out A. A doesn't work. Let's try the B. I'm going to go to Y equals. I'm putting in my equation, which is X plus 54. Remember, instead of using R's, I'm using X's. I'm going to press second graph. And looking at my table, I see when I plug in 1, I get out 55. But I'm supposed to get out 54. So B does not work. I'm going to cross it out. I'm going to try out C. I'm going to go to Y equals. I'm going to put in 4X plus 50. Second graph. And I see that when I plug in a 1, I get out 54, which works. When I plug in 2, I get out 58, which works. When I get out 3, I get out 62. which works. And when I get out 4, when I plug in 4, I get out 66, which also works. So my answer should be C. Number 3. According to the data shown below, which would be the best prediction of the number of passengers at the International Jet Port for the year 2008? Okay, so this one is one of those tables where you just kind of have to extend it. If I have 5 on this side, I'm going to have to add 7.9 on this side. If I have 5 again, I have to add 7.9 again. If I add 5 one more time, I have to do the same thing to the other side. And so I'm just going to put my table over here on this side. I'm going to pick it up where I left off, 2062.2. If I add 5 on this side, I get to 2005. I would have to add 7.9 on that side. If I add 5 again to get to 2010, I would have to add 7.9 again. And very quickly, my pen is not cooperating. Okay, very quickly, I'm just going to do this on my calculator. I see that if I add 7.9 to 62.2, I get 70.1. And if I add 7.9 to that, I'm going to get 78. So I'm looking at 2008. 2008 is in between 2005 and 2010. And I would expect that my answer will also have to be in between 70.1 and 78. Is it 70.1? No, that's what I get in 2005, so I'm going to eliminate that. Is it 68.5? That's too small, so I'm going to eliminate that. Is it 74.8? 74.8 is in between. How about Gene? 78 million? No, that's the value at 2010, so I'm going to eliminate that. Remember, I'm looking at 2008. And my answer has to be 74.8 because that is in between 70.1 and 78. A function is defined by y equals 3x plus 1. If the domain of the function is defined by what is the minimum value for the range. So in this one, guys, what you need to do is make yourself a table right away. You're going to have x and y. I'm given the domain, which means these are the x values. I'm looking at the domain from -4 to 1, so I'm going to say -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1. And I'm going to cheat, so I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to put 3x plus 1. Then I'm going to press second graph, and when x is -1, my y is -2, and that should have been -4, I'm sorry. Okay, when x is -4, y is -11. When x is -3, my y is -8. When x is -2, I get -5, so -8, -5. When x is -1, my y is -2. When x is 0, my y is 1. And when x is 1, when x is 1, my y is 4. Okay, so I apologize for the writing here. Let me go ahead and erase this because this looks really messy. So I'm looking for the minimum value for the range. Minimum means the smallest. And looking at this list, the smallest value is actually negative 11. So my answer for this one, the smallest value for my range is negative 11. We're looking at the x from negative 4 to 1. So my answer is C. Give the domain of the following relation. Again, x and y went to the doctor. X is my domain, so I'm looking at the x values. So I'm looking at these. To make this point, I had to use 1 on the x-axis. To make this point, I had to use 2. I had to use 3, 4, 5, and 6. So my domain, the x values that I used to make these dots, is A. And now I am done. Okay, so after watching this video, you know which ones you missed because you can see the wrong answers in Schoology. Make sure you do corrections on a separate sheet of paper. You need to tell me what is the correct answer, why did you miss it, and why is that the correct answer.